All right, everybody, welcome in to another episode of the NFL Seekers podcast. Today, we'll be previewing and predicting week 8 of the NFL season. There's no bye weeks this week. There were 6 teams on bye last week, so that makes just absolutely zero sense. But we'll take more football this week, baby. How are you, Josh?
Doing good. I'm looking forward to week 8. Last week was pretty brutal on all aspects for me. So looking to leave week 7 behind, get into week 8 and excited, hopeful, a lot of good feels here on a Wednesday night. So we'll see how we feel when we get to Thursday or sorry, Sunday.
Yeah, hopefully the no bye weeks will help your team kind of get back into things after a really rough week. But yeah, and I did want to say that you and Shane both tied for the picks champ for week 7. So I'm just a complete disaster. I'm honestly just gonna quit doing picks because I'm just terrible apparently.
Hold on one second. Gotta crown myself right here. We don't have Shane here, so he takes the L for that, and I will crown myself right here.
He's the
So
crown. He's the king.
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And with that, we'll get right into our first segment because we've got a lot of games to get into. But we'll get into our betting segment. All three of our hosts picked one line that we thought was a lock, and we kind of made a parlay with them. So I'll start it off with my line that I chose. I chose Drake London over on his just total yards. I took it last week and it hit my parlay actually hit last week. So I'm feeling good. I'm riding with Drake London. He's been really involved the last few weeks. Just kind of the Falcons have changed their offense and really involved Drake London. So I'm pretty confident this will hit again. It's hit the last few weeks, and I think they're gonna keep him involved. And then Shane chose Travis Etienne on the bottom. He chose Travis Etienne's touchdown line. That it's a little scary choosing a touchdown, but the way Etienne's been playing, it does feel like a lock. Against the Steelers, Shane will actually be at that game. That's why he's not here. So yeah, I think that's a fun one. Etienne any over will probably hit.
Yeah, ETN's been getting in the end zone, so I do like that one. It is always scary to take a touchdown, especially for a running back. But with how ETN's been playing, it does kind of feel like a lock. And then I do really like your Drake London. He has definitely been getting more involved. 48.5 rush plus receiving yards. Seems like Drake London could usually hit that on, possibly even one catch. So I like that. I chose to go with Stephon Diggs, and the reason why I went with Stephon Diggs is because he specifically tweeted that he feels bad when he doesn't hit his line. And so, on a Thursday night prime time game, Diggs is going to go crazy. And I feel like this one is just the easiest lock. I saw that and I was like, prime time Diggs. Yeah, 86.5 rush plus easy. Give me the over all day long. I don't even have to think about this one.
I honestly have no idea how I didn't think about that, but yeah, Diggs is easily hitting it this week. He somehow didn't hit it last week, and he's definitely 100% going to hit it this week. So I do think that I might make some money with this parlay right here.
Oh, easy. Easy money right here. Lock it in. It's the easiest money you'll get of your life. I love this one.
Yeah, lock it in and tell the seekers. Follow our picks, and yeah, with the Drake London, he has 54 yards last week, 125 the week before, and then 78 the week before, and that's kind of like the last 3 weeks they've really started to involve him more. So I'm confident they're going to keep that going. But with that, we'll get right into our game previews. We've got a lot to talk about. We'll start with the Buccaneers who go into Buffalo and play the Bills on Thursday Night Football. The Bills are 8.5 point favorites, and both teams are kind of struggling the last few games. Both looking a little sus lately, honestly, especially the Bills. I mean, like, what even was that performance last week? It was just the last few weeks, the Bills have just been so weird, so inconsistent, and I just don't even know what's going on with the Bills.
Yeah, I mean, at this point, it is a little bit concerning. I mean, the Bills just look like they just literally just dropped the ball and just like did not look like they showed up to play. But I mean, and like last week we were talking like every bad game, Josh Allen bounces back, but now it's been two in a row. And so honestly, that's a little scary. And especially you can't sleep. I mean, this game, you can't really sleep on it. The Bucks are playing good football, and they could definitely be a sleepy contender to win in this one. Um, I mean, however, there's my gut will not let me pick against Josh Allen. especially when he's gone 2 bad weeks in a row. I mean, that just means he's got to go nuclear. In all honesty, this guy's going to throw for 400 yards. Stephon Diggs is going to go for 200 yards. I feel like it's going to be insane. But I could see this one being sneaky, and I could see the Tampa Bay Buccaneers catching up. Mike Evans is playing good. I mean, Baker Mayfield, has impressed even at 3-3. I know they started out 3-0. And are they on a 3-game losing streak now?
I think they are.
Yeah, I mean this could definitely be a sleeper game. I could see the Bills kind of falling asleep at the wheel again, but I'm not going against Josh Allen, especially after 2 losses in a row. He's about to go nuclear. That's my prediction.
Yeah, the Buccaneers really have been playing up to teams this year, like you said, especially the first few weeks, obviously. And yeah, the magic's kind of been the Fitz magic's been kind of falling off, as you said. But yeah, I think you kind of just have to count on the Bills bouncing back. We said it last week, and it backfired. But you surely, I mean, this Bills team, it's just too talented. Their offense is too electric. Josh Allen's gonna make some crazy plays on prime time. Stephon Diggs is gonna hit that over. Definitely take his over. Now that you mentioned that, I'm gonna go put more money on it right after this episode. It's a complete lock. So yeah, excited to bet on this game tomorrow. For fantasy, I feel like for the Buccaneers, you're starting Rachaad White, Mike Evans, and Chris Godwin. It's pretty simple. There's not even really any fringe plays. And then for the Bills, you're starting obviously Josh Allen, Stephon Diggs, and then you're really, really excited for Dalton Kincaid. I think he can be started in this primetime game. I think he's a pretty serviceable option after last week, and Dawson Knox going down.
Yeah, I was gonna say huge fantasy implications for the tight end game right here with Kincaid. Ultra excited. I feel like this is really where he has his opportunity to kind of assert himself and start getting these reps and gain Josh Allen's trust. I mean, he went a perfect 8, on 8 targets, had 8 receptions last week for 75 yards. Love that. I mean, against a pretty decent Patriots secondary. And so, I mean, I think we're going to be in for a good one, especially on primetime. No Dawson Knox. I mean, this is like I said, this is where I'd like to see Kincaid really assert his true tight end one dominance. And I want to see him take that next step. And I want to, want him to be that focal point, behind Diggs in this offense, because he truly is the second best, receiver in this offense.
Yeah, I mean, we both loved him so much as a prospect. He's showing it already. He's just such a reliable receiver, and Josh Allen will keep going to him. So I'm excited for it. And are you starting him in fantasy? You have a few tight end options. Are you going to start him?
Yeah, I do. I am rostering a few tight ends right now because it's been such a disaster class this season. But I mean, I have Dalton Kincaid, Jonnu Smith, and Logan Thomas. And I am taking Dalton Kincaid this week. And I'm going to ride with it. And I'm feeling confident in it. I think he's projected 10.3 fantasy points. I honestly think he'll get maybe even upwards of 12, 14. So I'm excited. I'm very hopeful this week.
Yeah, I feel like he's just a really exciting start. We drafted Kincaid in our co-manager league, and we drafted George Kittle, and I feel like it's only a matter of time until we start really, really considering Kincaid to take over that position. And it's an exciting position. It's hard to find a good tight end. So if he hits, even if he gets over 10 points in this game, he's going to be a big waiver target, trade for target. So yeah, start Dalton Kincaid. I think he's a good start, and yeah, I think that's it for this game. Anything else?
No, that'll be it.
All right. With that, we'll move on to the next game. Our graphic guy completely messed this one up, so I'm sorry about our graphic guy, but this game is actually in Pittsburgh, so it's flipped. But the Jaguars are going to go into Pittsburgh and play the Steelers, and the Jaguars are 2.5-point road favorites. And this is gonna be a fun game. Our co-host Shane will be here, so I guess he can be our insider for this game. And I just have a weird feeling it's going to be really, really weirdly close. Mike Tomlin games are always close, and in Pittsburgh, coming off a pretty good road win last week against the Rams, the Steelers look pretty good on offense as well. I thought Najee getting involved is big. You need that run game to get going for the Steelers. So I do think this is going to be a pretty good game. And the Jaguars have been like the team that's just firing on all cylinders right now. And it feels like the Jaguars are kind of the team right now that has a loss due. They're kind of due for one, but I don't know. It's hard to pick against them because they're playing so great.
Yeah, I mean, this will be a good game. I was actually debating going back and forth on who I actually wanted to pick in this. Because I mean, going going into Pittsburgh, the Jacksonville Jaguars do feel like you said it perfectly. They do feel like they're due for a loss or just like a reset game. Because I mean they've been playing really good, and I mean they've been on that win streak since the Bills, and so it's been mighty impressive. But the way the Steelers played last week and getting a healthy Deontay Johnson back, that's ultra exciting. And gosh, I mean, they just finally started to seem like they're clicking. It's crazy to me that the Steelers are 4-2. I did not feel like they were that good of a team to start off the season. But I mean, they have such a resilient coach and such, that culture, and the defense is just built to win. And TJ Watt is just an absolute maniac, and I can see him getting after Trevor Lawrence all day long and making him feel uncomfortable. But I'm not going to go against the Jaguars right now. Trevor Lawrence, as you say every single week, Dan, I'll quote what you say. He's just playing so surgical, just making the right reads, taking, he's just making every throw, and he's so accurate. And they're rolling on all cylinders. Travis Etienne is looking like an absolute maniac. Their defense is playing good, so I'm rolling with the Jaguars in this one, even though I think it could be a trap game.
Yeah, I really do think it is a trap game, so I'm kind of struggling with it, but I'm going to pick the Jaguars as well because I mean, I just talked up how this could be a trap game, but it's hard. It's too hard to pick against this Jaguars team, man. They're just playing so good on all aspects. ETN is just running the hell out of the ball. It's fun to watch. And then for fantasy aspects, like are you if Zay Jones plays in this game, are you starting Calvin Ridley? Are you looking away from Calvin Ridley? Or?
As of right now, I just feel like in most of your leagues, you're kind of forced to start Calvin Ridley and just bank on that upside, that we saw on week one. And it's possible. I mean, it could be, kind of any week. I mean, Christian Kirk has really established himself as the wide receiver one. But I think yes, I am starting Calvin Ridley because you're just banking on the upside. I mean, the upside is there, but I mean, man, he has looked just so disappointing this season, and should definitely be playing a lot better and getting more open. Or whether it's Trevor Lawrence just not targeting him enough. I don't know. I feel like you have to. I kind of feel like you're forced to. So yes, I am starting Calvin Ridley still, maybe for a week or two more.
Yeah, I guess just monitor Ridley, monitor his targets, the Jaguars target share in general. Hopefully it gets better from last week. And yeah, like Ridley is, like you said, he does have a very high upside at any given week. He can take any given play to the house. So you're right. He definitely probably should be started for at least another week or so. But yeah, Christian Kirk is the first read seems like every single passing play, and Trevor loves his first options. It's usually Ingram or Kirk. So love starting Kirk and Ingram. Ingram was a huge steal of a tight end pick. And then for the Steelers, I guess you could be a little bit more confident starting Najee after last week. He got a touchdown. He got a little bit more involved. So I guess you could start Najee as a flex. It's a little bit scary, but you might have to not watch the game and just look at a score after. But yeah, I think Najee could be an okay play. And Deontay Johnson coming back, he looked pretty good in his first game back. I think he could be even a pretty good flex play.
Yeah, I'd definitely be starting Deontay Johnson. I think the upside is there with him, and I feel pretty confident in that. But like, I got a question for you, just a couple so Calvin Ridley and Najee Harris. I'm going to give you a couple options, and I want to ask you if you'd start these guys over them. So like, would you rather start in your flex spot out of obviously, this is just for Calvin Ridley and Najee Harris both. Would you rather start Josh Downs?
On paper, I think I'd rather start Josh Downs than both of them, but I mean, would I actually start Josh Downs over Calvin Ridley? It's risky,
Right.
ballsy. It's probably the safer pick though because the Colts are going to be scoring. They're going to be consistently scoring, and Downs will be targeted. You know for a fact he's going to be targeted. I think if it's a flex spot, I think I might just take Downs.
Yeah, I was say Downs' last 3 weeks are 15, 13, 23. Ridley's are 26 and 1. So I mean Calvin Ridley's kind of all over the place. And then one other person I want to throw out there. Would you rather start Josh Palmer than those two?
That's hard. What did Josh Palmer do last week?
Josh Palmer caught 5 receptions on 7 targets for 133 yards.
Okay.
But also in the last 2 weeks, his red zone share, he's had 3 targets in the red zone, has come up short twice. So there's one incomplete, I think 3 times, 1 touchdown called back, and then one batted down and then one drop in the end zone. So his red zone share is actually fairly good right now.
I think I am starting Joshua Palmer over Najee Harris for sure. In between him and Calvin Ridley, I think I would probably start Joshua Palmer as well. I think I'm at that point with Ridley, but that's just me. Maybe other people are different, but personally, like as a previous Ridley owner, watching Jaguars games and watching him be like fourth or fifth in the totem pole in targets, it's painful.
Yeah, no, I would go with both of those two. It seems like Josh Downs and Josh Palmer, the two Joshes, seem to be getting a pretty significant more target share and seem to be the wide receiver. I think Josh Downs almost you can argue he's the wide receiver one right now, and then Palmer's obviously the clear cut wide receiver two in the Chargers offense.
Yeah. All right. Well, anything else you want to say?
Nope, no. I think this is a trap game, and I want to watch it. I think it's exciting that Shane will be there. Shane's obviously going to be picking the Steelers this week and rooting for them. So we'll see how he does in picks this week. He's going to have a little bias going into this one.
Yeah, we'll see if he can finally get a bad week in picks. I don't know how he's doing so good, if I'm being completely honest. But we'll get on to the next one. The Rams are going to go into Dallas and play the Cowboys. The Cowboys are 6.5-point home favorites, and this is a good matchup. I think it's a fun matchup. The Rams are coming off a few losses. It feels like the Rams are better than their record at this point at 3-4. They've played pretty good football this year, and I mean the Cowboys are, after their performance against the Chargers, you got to be pretty confident in them to honestly keep things rolling in Dallas. It's a fun matchup, but I mean, I honestly am just going to say it right now. I'm just going to pick the Cowboys because I gain more respect for Dak after that Chargers performance, and I just think the Cowboys will keep things rolling at home.
Yeah, I think the Cowboys kind of figured out their offense against the Chargers and kind of feel a little bit more comfortable right now. And it's hard to bet against the Cowboys defense. They really had that one down week against the 49ers, but I mean, that's the 49ers, and the 49ers came to play that week. So I'll be honest, yeah, I don't think this one. I mean, the Rams definitely have been playing, better than what their record shows, and they got a heck of a receiving core with Puka Nacua, Tutu Atwell, and of course the amazing Cooper Kupp. But I just think the Dallas Cowboys defense is just so dominant in this one. I think that'll ultimately be the X factor to where I think it's a pretty easy pick right here.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what made me pick so fast as well. As both defenses are playing good, but the Cowboys defense is playing great, and both offenses are good, but Cowboys weapons are just too electric. But I mean, it's going to be exciting watching the Rams offense. It's always so fun watching Kupp and Nacua together now. Like that's one of the more things to watch every Sunday. I feel like it's just the Rams offense in general. They're really fun. But what are your thoughts on Darrell Henderson? You excited for him as like RB2?
Yeah, I'd honestly be starting Darrell Henderson this week. I think the Rams were pretty good at involving their running backs. I like the Sean McVay system. I think it's friendly to running backs, as you've seen Kyron Williams really excel this year. And so I do think Darrell Henderson is definitely a startable play. And I think even against a good Dallas Cowboys defense, I think he's just going to get enough touches and enough work to where he should be a pretty safe fantasy play this week. So yes, I am starting him.
Yeah, like you said, the Rams do always involve their running backs well. So even against this really good defense, I think he will get his. He'll probably get 10 to 12 points. I'm going to start him personally. And yeah, I'm excited about him. I predicted that he would be the lead back last week after being picked up off the street just because the Rams are weird. And Sean McVay likes to do weird things and throw fantasy owners off. So I literally just picked up Darrell Henderson just because I know Sean McVay likes to do weird things.
Oh, 100%. And yeah, on the Rams offense, obviously, you're starting Puka Nacua. You're starting Cooper Kupp. I think you do start Henderson this week. And then, Tutu Atwell is kind of borderline. If you have better options, I suggest you go with that. Something a little bit safer. Then the Cowboys, obviously, CeeDee Lamb, Tony Pollard, those guys are absolute locks. And then Jake Ferguson, depending on what your tight end situation looks like, could be a pretty good, plug and play this week.
Yeah, that just made me realize the Rams have historically always, every year, just been terrible against tight ends. So Jake Ferguson, you could probably lock in a pretty good performance actually this week.
Yeah. And with that, I mean, I don't think there's too much to say. I think the Cowboys should probably handle business pretty easy. And so I think we should move on from this one.
Yeah, looks like a sweep. You don't have to watch this one. We'll get on to the next game. The Eagles are going to go into Washington and play the Commanders. The Eagles are 6.5-point road favorites, and Eagles are rolling, man. They just beat a rolling Dolphins team that was rolling, and the Eagles are just looking really, really good, like a top 2 team in the NFL. Their defense is starting to click a little bit better. Their offense is starting to click better. I mean, yeah, just everything's clicking for the Eagles. Interestingly, these two teams matched up just a few weeks ago, and it was a pretty electric game. It went to overtime. Sam Howell played a pretty good game, one of his better performances of the year. But if I'm being honest, I don't see that happening twice. And with the way the Eagles are playing, all this momentum they're gaining, with adding Kevin Byard, they're going to be pumped up, and I think they're going to keep that momentum going, and bring that into Washington and probably smack them. I don't think it'll be anywhere near as close as it was the last time around.
No, yeah, the Eagles definitely. The last time they played, Sam Howell played fantastic. They were rolling. The Redskins, there's the Redskins, Commanders.
They'll be the Redskins after this week.
Yes, they will be able to call them the Redskins after this week. They did win. But yeah, they won last week, right? I'm blanking who they played. Giant. Wait, who did they play last week and win?
Oh, the Commanders lost to the Giants. We can call them the Redskins.
Oh yeah, was it 14-7?
Yeah,
Yeah,
they played a terrible game and lost
okay,
to the
no, yeah,
Giants. So they should be like really the Redskins. That was a bad game. And so sorry, they're the Redskins.
Yeah, excuse me for respecting them and calling them the Commanders. They are the Redskins this week. And with that being said, after that pathetic performance against the Giants, the Eagles are absolutely going to smack them. If the Eagles wear this absolutely sexy uniform right there, those throwbacks, they'll beat them by 50, which obviously, sadly, they're not. I wish they could wear those every week. Those are the coolest uniforms in the NFL. I'll say it right now. I'm going to crown that better than the Chargers. I love those green throwbacks. Those have got to be the coolest ones I've ever seen. I'll be honest. What do you think about them?
I mean, the helmet too, like the helmet just makes them look so sick. And on the field too, like watching on the broadcast, they look so good. I think these have probably been the prettiest jerseys I've seen all year. Like the Chargers have the best, like just base set of, like base uniforms, but like alternate uniform wise, this has to be the best we've seen.
Oh, dude, that thing is so clean. I tried trading for AJ Brown just because I saw him in that uniform, and Shane's all way too. Speaking of Shane, can we just talk about and just gotta roast him on the podcast for a second? That kid does not know how to make a fantasy trade. If they're on his roster, please comment in the chat and make fun of Shane because he does not know how to make a trade or even remotely make anything close. He's the most horrible person to have trade talks with. Just literally wanted AJ Brown because of the jersey, and apparently Shane won't take Cooper Kupp and a handful of other people because AJ Brown is AJ Brown according to Shane. So kid's weird.
I think Shane's too high on him just because of how he looked in the jerseys too.
Yeah, probably. Have to throw out a little roast for Shane. He's not on the podcast this week, so if anyone's in the comments, please throw some slander at Shane. He needs it. Kid's getting a little too cocky.
Shane slander in the comments, please now.
If you're watching this, please roast him in the comments, please. That being said, Eagles by 50. It's not going to be close. I think all their players are going to go off. The tush push is going to score like 4 touchdowns, and Commanders. I think you do start Terry McLaurin. I think you start Brian Robinson. I think their other receivers are borderline flex plays. If you don't have anyone else, and Logan Thomas could be an okay start this week too.
Yeah, Curtis Samuel in deeper leagues, he's been playing pretty good. He kind of had taken all of Jahan Dotson's role, so that's pretty crazy. I don't really understand that, but yeah. And Sam Howell, I've been pretty disappointed with Sam Howell the last few weeks. I'm almost to the point where I'm like done with Sam Howell, and I feel like he's kind of like a darling in the NFL. I feel like he's kind of just a favorite, and it's going to be slow for people to turn on Sam Howell, but I'm already kind of starting to see the vision, and I'm already kind of starting to see Washington wanting a new quarterback here in the future.
100%. If Sam Howell happened to be on the 49ers, that might revive his career. But however, he is not. So yeah, I'm kind of almost there with Sam Howell too. Not too impressed with these last few weeks. It's not showing a lot of flash or potential to get really anyone excited. So we'll see. Maybe Dan, maybe we can do a way too early mock draft here soon. I think that would be fun. We'll line up where the teams are looking here almost midway through the season and do a draft up based off those spots.
Yeah, I've been watching a lot of college football this year, so I've been really wanting to get a way too early mock draft out. So we'll definitely do that soon here with our power rankings. But anything else you want to say on this game?
No, no, let's move on. Not too much more to talk about.
All right, we'll move on to the next one. The Saints are going to go into Indy and play the Colts, and the Saints are 1 point road favorites. Or yeah, and the Saints started to click at the end of that Jags game. It was a rough game, but the Saints came back. They started to click offensively, so hopefully they can keep some of that rolling. Kamara's insane, and if you have him in fantasy, that was just a great pick. I definitely fumbled not picking him in any of my leagues. Kamara's insane and going to be a huge PPR target machine because of check down Carr. He loves throwing the Kamara. It's pretty much his first option, first read, and every passing play. It's pretty crazy. And with Chris Olave, it's kind of unfortunate with how check downy Derek Carr is, but at the same time, Chris Olave's route tree is kind of just a running back route tree. He's running the same routes as Kamara, so I think you can be happy with Chris Olave. He's had some dud performances for sure, but I think you can be fine starting Olave. And for the Colts, I've been it's fun watching the Colts. It seems like they're in a lot of high scoring games, but it's because their defense is just terrible. So I think that the Colts defense is just not really matching up well against the Saints team.
No, this is gonna be an interesting game. I don't know. I feel weird about it. Do we know, is Chris Olave in any trouble? He did get arrested for speeding. I don't know if that will affect his game or anything. I just saw some reports and everything on it, and him trying to get out of it, saying he was the Saints receiver, which is kind of fun.
That's why I laughed. That's what I wanted to talk about. Like him saying I'm a Saints receiver, and the cop just said okay, and like maybe play better, bro. Like playing a better team. I don't know. But I don't think it's gonna affect his fantasy at all. I don't think it's gonna affect him at all, honestly.
Yeah, I don't think it's too big of a deal. He did get caught reckless driving, which is never a good thing, but I don't think he was intoxicated or anything and he didn't cause an accident. So he should be ready to rock and roll. I'm sure he'll get a hefty fine. But um anyways, I just think on another tangent, not Chris Olave getting arrested, and to a fantasy aspect, I think we all really fumbled on not taking Kamara, Jonathan Taylor, and Cooper Cup at their ADPs. This season we all kind of overthought it, and if you were one of the lucky people, you had to wait a few weeks to get them to play. Absolute steal, especially at what they were going at. So I mean, especially like Jonathan Taylor on the other side. Finally, look, he got his 18 touches and scored. I think he was like 18 points last week. So it looks like Jonathan Taylor's back, even when he's splitting reps with Zach Moss. He's going to be efficient. Josh Downs, honestly, Josh Downs to me is just a plug and play. I think he's proved it. I think he might even overtake Pittman, for the true alpha wide receiver one in this offense. And with that being said, I am taking the Colts. Check down Carr is just not my vibe. I don't have too much confidence in him scoring points. At this point, I'd honestly put Jameson. and wait, Jameis is on the Saints still, right?
Yep.
Okay, I can never keep track of where he's at, but if you put Jameson, I think it would bring more excitement to the Saints, even though Derek Carr maybe is a little bit safer, better player. Jameis would add some more fun and maybe a little bit more flair to this offense. But I am riding with the Colts right now. After that, pretty good performance, which they should have won against the Browns. I think they'll come and take out their aggression on the Saints.
Yeah, they played an electric game. And yeah, for the Colts, we said last week before Josh Downs' huge performance that he's probably a lineup lock. So I guess he kind of just showed that he is a very, very much so a lineup lock. So excited for him. I'm a little bit scary about Michael Pittman. It's looking like Josh said, it's looking like Josh Downs took over the wide receiver one role in Indy, and now Pittman and Alec Pierce have kind of just taken that deep threat role. So that's a little bit scary. But Michael Pittman's had a great season so far. So I think you can be confident starting him for now at least. And Zach Moss probably for a few more weeks. You can be confident starting him in the flex. But yeah, that's about it in this game.
Yeah. And with that, let's move on to the next one.
All right. We'll move on to the next one. A battle in New York. The Jets are going to stay in New York and play the Giants, who are the technical home team in this one. And I think it's pretty obvious. You can definitely expect this one to be a very low scoring battle. Just a very defensive battle. Two pretty good defenses. The Giants defense has been playing better as of late. They've been playing pretty solid. And obviously the Jets defense has been one of the better in the NFL. Saleh's had a really, really good season coaching that defense, and they've been keeping them in pretty much every game. So I think this is going to be a pretty good, entertaining game. The Giants are coming off a win. I think Tyrod Taylor playing in this game gives the Giants a better chance, but it is looking like Danny Dimes could be back.
Yeah, this is tough for me. Danny Dimes plays. I'm probably leaning towards the Jets a little bit more. If Tyrod plays, I think I'm taking the Giants. And I mean, Danny Dimes has not been cleared to play yet as of today, Wednesday. I think he had a limited practice, but he's not been cleared by medical professionals to actually to be in any contact right now, physical contact. So we'll see. I think Tyrod would be the better play, and I think the Giants would win this game. Given if I think that kind of my thing depends on Tyrod. Tyrod's going to be more safer with the ball. That Jets defense is electric. They're top 3 defense in the NFL right now, and that's the X factor for the Jets. I don't think the Jets offense is going to be scoring much points. I think Breece Hall though might be in for a pretty good game. Because the Jets really only throw slants and checkdowns and screens, and so that will favor Breece Hall. Garrett Wilson will probably do pretty good with his slants and given his yak ability. But gosh, this one is really hard. I think I'm taking the Giants. I'm taking the Giants if Tyrod plays. If not, I'm going to go with the Jets because I think the Jets defense will just give Danny Dimes hell. But this is going to be an interesting game. I feel like it's going to be a really gross game. Both of the offenses, in my opinion, are pretty gross. So we'll see. But so this is contingent on Tyrod playing, but I'm taking the Giants as of right now, just because I think he'll manage that pressure from the Jets defense, and he won't make as many turnover, stupid mistakes.
And he's like $60 million less than Danny Dimes. So that's just crazy that we're even having this discussion right now. But yeah, I think it's going to be a close game, like you said. And I think fantasy wise, we kind of know who we're starting in this one. But how are you feeling about Saquon? Do you think he's kind of back? He looked a little bit healthier last week after not really looking healthy his first week back. So are you feeling good about Saquon? You think is a high tier option still?
Yeah, I do think Saquon is a high tier option, and I think whether it's more based. I don't feel like it's really ever been Saquon's fault. I just feel like it's poor performance by the offensive line, in all reality. But yeah, I think Saquon's back. I think he's ready to roll. I think this is a tough performance against a really good Jets defense, but I think Saquon is an RB1. I think he is going forward. He looks like he is back.
Yeah. All right. Yeah, you're going to start Saquon, Waller. You're going to start Garrett Wilson and Breece Hall. They're all locks. And then you kind of want to monitor the Giants flex situation with Wan'Dale Robinson and Jalen Hyatt. With Jalen Hyatt getting more involved, before you start either of them, you kind of just want to monitor that and see where the targets are on.
100%. Yeah. Yeah. So this will be an interesting game. This should be an interesting game to watch, and a very, I'm going to say very low scoring, very close. A lot of field goals, I feel, in this one.
All right. Well, with that, we'll get on to the next one. The Patriots are going to go into Miami and play the Dolphins. The Dolphins are 9-point favorites, and as Stores always likes to say, the Dolphins love absolutely dominating bad teams. So I have no doubt in my mind that the Dolphins are going to just dominate this one.
Fun little fact for you, Dan. The Dolphins haven't beaten a team with a winning team. They have not beaten a winning team since September 24th of last year. So that tells you anything. They literally have not beaten a team with a winning record since last year. And given how good they are and they look this year, they don't beat good teams, but they destroy, teams that aren't very good. So with that being said, they're probably going to put up 60 after that loss against the Eagles, and they're gonna get their hype back. But it is interesting because I heard Tyreek might not play and Jalen Waddle is hurt. So, and the Patriots, it is a division game, and the Patriots just laid a smackdown on the Bills. So, it is an interesting, intriguing game, but Dolphins probably by 60.
Yeah, I mean this could be since it's a divisional matchup. Patriots are coming off a win. It could be closer than you think. The Dolphins coming off a loss. Tua didn't have the best performance. I could definitely see it. I could see a closer than everyone thinks game here, but I think you got to confidently pick the Dolphins. I'm going to pick the Dolphins, and I think you got to start all their options in fantasy.
Yeah, whoever's playing for the Dolphins, start all their options. Um, start with Mondre Stevenson, I guess, for the Patriots, and that's it.
Yeah, maybe Kendrick Bourne if you're crazy and you want to target the Dolphins defense, but I'm scared of starting anyone other than Ramondre.
100%. And I don't think there's much more to talk about on this one. So let's move into the next one.
All right, another clean sweep. I feel like we have a few in this one, but we'll get on to the next one. The Falcons are going to go into Tennessee and play the Titans, or I guess you could call them the Oilers because they're going to be playing in their beautiful throwback Oiler jerseys. So that'll be really a beautiful aesthetic. They're awesome, and you got the rookie Will Levis starting, so it's going to be very interesting to see how Will Levis does. But the Falcons defense has been super, super solid this year. Honestly, one of the more improved units in all of the NFL. So it's going to be a tough test for Levis. But Stores, Levis has been your boy all offseason. You've been kind of calling for Levis's name. How do you think he's going to fare?
I think we might see, it is a tough Falcons defense to come in your first game. I'm excited. I'm very optimistic and hopeful. I do think Levis has the potential to be very electric. I do think there'll be some learning curves for him. He's a very raw prospect with a ton of tools. And I'm very excited to see. Maybe Ryan Tannehill's been so flat for this team, just so not exciting. You know what's going to happen every week with Tannehill, and so I mean Levis is a young guy with a big arm, pretty athletic, and I think he can bring a little bit of juice to this Titans offense. However, I'm sure he'll throw some interceptions. I'm sure there'll be some learning curves. And it's going to be exciting. I mean, it's definitely more exciting for Titans fans to see their young quarterback out there playing, who brings some potential and brings some hope and, has, I mean, definitely a lot more potential than Ryan Tannehill has. So I'm excited for it. I think there will be a learning curve, but it's going to be a good game. However, that Atlanta Falcons defense is playing really good, and I do have the Falcons winning this one.
Yeah, I could honestly see Levis doing some good things. It's gonna be hard. The Falcons defense really is honestly really good, but I could definitely see him doing some nice things. I kind of hope he hyper targets DeAndre Hopkins and Derrick Henry, and they just lean in on those two veterans. They're two best players because there's not too many weapons, so hopefully they kind of just lean in on their best players and make it easier on Levis. But yeah, it's gonna be honestly a really fun game to watch, see how it plays out. For fantasy, you're kind of starting, Bijan, Drake London. You hesitantly start Kyle Pitts if you're a ballsy man, and then on the Titans side, you start Derrick Henry and DeAndre Hopkins. That's about it.
Yeah, I mean it's gonna be an interesting game. Yeah, the fantasy options definitely are scary on the Titans. That's for sure. But yeah, Drake London definitely a start. Bijan definitely a start. Hopefully for Bijan managers, including myself and you, Dan, who we have in our co-manager league, who we lost our co-manager league because Bijan didn't play.
Literally just because of him. Our whole team did great.
Yeah, we lost by like 5 points, and that's all we would have needed from Bijan. But whatever, it happened. Apparently, he had a headache. I don't know why we didn't know about it. I keep saying this. I don't know why we didn't know about this hours before. Weird, or have the opportunity to freaking. I almost wish in fantasy, like when something happens like that, you could just switch him out of your lineup.
Yeah.
But he definitely burned us last week. But hopefully, he has a big game. It is a good Titans run defense, but hopefully he has a bounce back game and makes us forget about last week.
Yeah, I think you can be pretty confident in Bijan having a pretty good game this week. I'm really excited for it. We'll get on to the next one. The Texans are going to go into Carolina and play the Panthers. The Texans are 3-point road favorites, and we finally get CJ Stroud versus Bryce Young. We get the Stroud versus Young game. Pick 1 and 2 going against each other. It's going to be really fun, and Vegas thinks it's going to be a really close game. That 3-point line is pretty close for an 0-6 Panthers team. So Vegas isn't in the business of losing money, so I'm a little scared on this one. Like I think it's going to be a pretty close game. It's going to be kind of a crap fest. I feel like it's just going to be a competitive, low-scoring game. But the Texans have been playing good football, so I think they will pull ahead in the end. And I think I think both quarterbacks will kind of shine and have good moments going against each other. I think they'll be motivated, but I think in the end, the Texans' overall team, their defense is way better. I think the Texans and Stroud, who looks like a veteran, will get it done.
Yeah. Again, this does feel like a trap game, in my opinion. Seems like Bryce Young, and it seems like a game that the Panthers don't want to lose. It doesn't seem like the Panthers want to get to 0-7. And it seems like a game that the Panthers could very easily win. Just because you could see them coming out playing with their heads on fire and just not, going down easy. And I don't think their ship will sink very easy. But yeah, it's too hard to root against CJ Stroud and the Texans. They've obviously clearly looked like the better team, the better defense for sure. In my opinion, a much better head coach with D'Amico Ryans, who's just absolutely fantastic. Probably one of my favorite coaches in the NFL. And then yeah, CJ Stroud right now definitely does look like the better quarterback. And I don't mean to toot my own horn, but I definitely said that, in draft season that CJ Stroud was my quarterback one. And that Georgia game, I'll tell you, just because of that Georgia game, I still will not forget about how flawless CJ Stroud played in that game and the poise and his pocket presence. And I was like, and his size and his athleticism, I was just like, how do you not see this in this guy? How is there not more of an argument for him being the first overall pick? Texans definitely did luck out having that number 2 overall pick and being able to get such a stud like Stroud. But yeah, I am taking the Texans, but I could definitely feel a trap game in this one for sure. I don't think the Panthers want to be 0-7.
Yeah, definitely. And yeah, it's honestly going to be just so fun to monitor and watch Stroud and Young throughout their careers, especially in this game. It's going to be so fun to watch them. I can't wait for this one.
100%. But yeah, this will be a fun one. Turn on your TVs for this one. It'll be exciting.
Yeah, or just don't watch it because it's another sweep. We all pick the Texans, but we'll get on to the next one. The Vikings are going to go into Green Bay and play the Packers, and it's a completely even line right now. So this NFC North matchup is going to be a close one. Personally, I disagree with that though. I think Vegas is completely wrong. I was kind of very impressed by the Vikings Monday night performance against the Niners, and I was very not impressed by the Packers on Sunday against the Broncos. It was kind of a pathetic performance against a team that was almost like actively tanking, and you couldn't even pull out a win in the end against that team. So I'm just soured on the Packers after that. I'm a little bit soured on Jordan Love. Is a discouraging and kind of depressing game for the Packers. Like Love was throwing some bad turnover worthy plays, kind of careless and stuff you don't like to see from him. And yeah, just not a performance that makes you confident picking the Packers in any game. And the Vikings obviously just beat the best team in the NFL, and they looked pretty good doing so. And Kirk's looking like a really, really good quarterback, even without Jettis.
Yeah, no, the Vikings look like they're playing for their jobs right now, and the Packers look like they're asleep at the wheel. And yeah, like you said, I mean, you're a team that's literally actively tanking for a quarterback. And you can't go on there and beat them. You're like, huh, interesting. I know that made you mad. Because I know you're actively looking for one of the Penix, Drake May, Caleb Williams as a Bronco fan.
I was pissed at Love for throwing that pick at the end. It was just terrible.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, and the Packers don't have any excuse. I mean, they have good offensive talent. They have a good defensive talent. And they should definitely, not be 2-4. And yeah, I mean, shout out to the Vikings, starting off really rough, but coming back, beating the best team in the NFL. Jordan Addison looking like an absolute stud out there. Killer performance last week. Looking to build off of that this week. He will be going up against Jair Alexander, which would be a pretty good matchup. That'll be one to highlight and watch. But yeah, I mean, I'm taking the Vikings. I'm surprised that this line is even. It's kind of crazy, but I think the Vikings, they're playing good football, and I think the Packers are playing bad football. So that's simple.
Yep, and another thing that makes me even more confident in picking the Vikings is Brian Flores is a genius. It's clear, we both said this in the offseason, Brian Flores should be a head coach in the NFL, and he's their defensive coordinator. So that's just a big boost. The Vikings have great coaching, and the Vikings defense is finally playing some solid football for once in a long time. Honestly, it feels like.
Yeah. I mean, yeah, since last season. So it's good to see that. And yeah, I think Kirk Cousins and these guys they're wanting to get back in that playoff contention. So I think the Vikings would be playing pretty good football here on out.
And I think the only fantasy question I have in this game is Christian Watson. Are you comfortable starting Christian Watson? He looked like he like tore his ACL or something against the Broncos, but apparently he's just completely healthy and fine and going to play this week. So
I don't feel confident starting any Packers receivers, to be honest. I don't know. Their ceiling and floor just scares me a little bit. However, I mean I would start Aaron Jones, not starting Jordan Love. Luke Musgrave, I don't feel really comfortable starting him. So I mean, really, I mean, I guess Christian Watson, depending what your flex situation looked like, definitely a borderline flex. He does have upside, he does have that long touchdown potential. But right now, I am scared of Packers receivers, and there's definitely a handful of options I'd be looking at otherwise.
and the headhunter Kareem Jackson actually got to Luke Musgrave last week. Musgrave was his latest victim, so it looks like Musgrave
Oh,
is on the concussion protocol, and so it might be Tucker Kraft time, who we're excited for. I love Tucker Kraft. I hope he gets more involved. He was pretty fun. So
that,
hopefully
that
Tucker Kraft does good.
yeah, I've sometimes kind of been forgot about Tucker Kraft with the Luke Musgrave hype. But yeah, Tucker Kraft, it was an exciting prospect, and it'll be fun to see him get the full work this week.
Yep, definitely. And the only reason I asked about Christian Watson is I was deciding between him and Hollywood Brown in the league, but I think I'm going to roll with Hollywood. Christian's just a little bit too much variance for me in that offense.
100%. Yeah, I don't love Christian Watson right now.
All right. With that, we'll get on to the next game. It's a fun one in Seattle. The Browns are going to go and play the Seahawks. The Seahawks are 3-point home favorites, and it's an intriguing matchup. PJ Walker's going to be starting. I feel like PJ Walker's on his Geno Smith career arc. He's trying to get to that late career rejuvenation stage, and he's looking good. He has 2 wins against 2 pretty good teams. Last week was a crazy game, but PJ Walker's playing good football. This Browns defense and team is so good. It doesn't really matter who their quarterback is. I feel like him or Deshaun Watson, you can almost give like the same analysis for this game, as sad as it is. But yeah, PJ Walker's playing good football. However, the Seahawks are playing some pretty solid football. I feel like their offense has left some to be desired, but their defense is playing a lot better than expected. And I honestly just have zero worries that Geno and DK and the Pete Carroll will figure it out. I think their offense will be just fine.
Yeah, for sure. They're too talented of a team, especially with Kenneth Walker there in the backfield too. And I've totally, shout out to the Seahawks for one of the better rebuilds on an offensive line in recent years. I mean, very fast rebuild. Very very good drafts that they've had, and Seahawks did lose Uchenna Nwosu, which is a blow to that defense. Um, and the Browns, on their side of the ball, PJ Walker is playing good football. He is looking to have that Geno Smith, don't write me off type of story. I mean, he's out there, and he went out there and he beat the best team in the NFL in the 49ers, and put up a hell of a performance, scoring 39 points last week against the Colts. So, this is going to be this is an exciting game. However, I do feel like the Seahawks are just more put together. They feel more balanced. And I do believe in Pete Carroll, and I do think they'll pull this one off. But this will be, I think there'll be a really high scoring game. I think whoever plays the Browns, it's just you're in for a fun, high scoring game, and they're playing exciting football, and they are somebody that you want to turn your TV on and watch.
I'm having a really really hard time right now on the spot. My heart is telling me the Browns are going to win this game. My gut's telling me the Seahawks are going to win this game. I'm gonna go with my heart. I'm gonna pick the Browns. I'm gonna be the
I like
lone
it.
dog in this one. I feel like it's kind of a bold one, but I'm just gonna pick the random road pick. I think this defense can do something in Seattle, and maybe they limit these Seahawks receivers and Kenneth Walker.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. I mean, when you got Miles Garrett on that side of the football and Denzel Ward, I mean, you're looking good. Grant Delpit, one of the better safeties in the league right now. I mean, the Browns are exciting. They're an exciting team, and it's gonna be fun to see Kareem Hunt also get the bulk of the carries this week. So start Kareem Hunt in your fantasy. Start Amari Cooper. I'm almost starting the whole load on both of these teams. I do think it'll be a high scoring game. Obviously, start DK Metcalf. I think you could arguably start JSN and feel kind of confident in it. Kenneth Walker. I mean, I'm kind of starting everyone right now. I think this will be a high scoring game.
Yeah, I'm with you as well. For my pick specifically, I think a high scoring game would be bad because I need the Browns defense to do really good if I want them to beat the Seahawks. But yeah, I do think the fantasy options are all going to be serviceable, and Kareem Hunt especially, you're really excited for with no Jerome Ford in there. So yeah, going to be fun moving forward. But anything else you want to say on this one?
Oh, let's move on to the next one.
All right. With that, we'll get on to the Bengals who are going to go into San Fran and play the 49ers. The Niners are 5.5 point favorites, and this is a good game. It's so close. Like on paper, you might just think it's going to be the Niners. The Bengals have kind of struggled this year, but honestly, this is going to be a really close game. The Bengals have kind of quietly started to figure things out, especially on defense. Their defense was terrible to start the season, but Lou Anarumo, as good as a defensive coordinator he is, you knew that he was going to figure it out. And the Bengals defense really has figured it out the last few weeks, and they've been almost dominant. And I think their offense is just getting healthier and better every week. So I'm not going to count the Bengals out whatsoever. I almost want to pick them in this game. I think it's going to be a really close one. Niners coming off 2 losses. I think it's going to be a very close one in San Fran. It's going to be a fun game, maybe the best one of the week.
Yeah, this is ultra exciting. And I mean the Bengals have progressively gotten better each week, and they are seeming to finally put it together and get on the same page. I wish I could say that about my Chargers, who definitely aren't. But the Bengals coaching staff definitely a lot more competent than most coaching staffs in the NFL. And yeah, they're putting their team together, and it's coming together better. I would like to see Joe Mixon more involved. I feel like he's been so underwhelming this year, and I'd like him to kind of establish their run game a little bit better. I know their offensive line has been banged up and hasn't performed as well as it should have with the money they spent on it. But it is hard. I don't know. I mean, the Kyle Shanahan back-to-back losses just doesn't feel right. And going for a third just does not feel right. I mean, their defense is too good. They're too good of a team. I mean, Brock Purdy has not been playing his best football. They're kind of scaring me. You know, I a week ago I had them number 1 in my power rankings. I think they dropped down a couple spots. I think some teams have kind of put the blueprint on beating the 49ers right now, and they're getting a little bit exposed. But I'm not too worried about it because I think Kyle Shanahan is the most guru, the most smart coach. I think he's the smartest coach in the NFL, and next to Andy Reid. And I think they'll figure it out. I think they'll come in here. They'll put pressure on Joe Burrow. They'll make him feel uncomfortable. They know he's playing a little hurt. I think they'll send a lot of blitz packages. And I can't go 3 losses in a row for the 49ers. I will be taking the 49ers. Long story short.
Yeah. And to go with how close this game is, like I said earlier, so earlier I said this is a 5.5 point line. The Niners were 5.5 point favorites earlier when I made this graphic, but when I finalized this graphic, the Niners are actually 3.5 point favorites. So the line is moving closer. The Niners are actually only 3.5 point favorites. So it is a close line, but like you said, how could the Niners lose 3 games in a row at home? That would be crazy. As much as I really do want to pick the Bengals, I think it's going to be a great game. I could easily see them winning it. I want to pick them, but picking the Niners to lose their 3rd game in a row would just be blasphemous.
Yeah, there's just no way. You don't feel comfortable doing it. Give me Christian McCaffrey having a Hall of Fame game this week because he's gonna have to.
And we don't even have to discuss the fantasy options in this game. You start every single one of them. I guess the only question would be injury. So with Debo, I don't know. I don't think Debo will be back. So I think you could be confident in Ayuk and Kittle, more confident than you would be. And obviously McCaffrey is apparently God. So
yeah. And how are you feeling about Tyler Boyd as a potential flex play after 3 straight 7-target games?
I'm feeling like that's weird because it's like he's taking T Higgins targets, and that's if I'm a T Higgins.
Excuse me, actually, Tyler Boyd has had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 games over 7 targets in a row. Only week 1, he only had 3 targets, but I mean, he has not put up impressive numbers.
That's crazy. I honestly did not know that. Yeah, he hasn't put up the numbers to back it up, but that is a lot of targets. You definitely could feel okay starting that. I don't know though, because I'm just scared starting a 3rd option, but that's a lot of targets and a really good option. I just am scared that T Higgins will get more involved, and the game that I start Tyler Boyd, he gets 1 point.
Right. Yeah, no, Tyler Boyd, it's kind of crazy. I'm just now looking at this, but yeah, ever since week 2, I mean, so I'll just show you. So I'll just give you his target share for the whole year real quick. So 3 targets, 8 targets, 9 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets, 7 targets. However, he's not been very impressive with those targets. 52 yards, 39 yards, 26, 39 yards. And then finally, week 6 against the Seahawks, he had 7 targets, 7 receptions, 38 yards, and he got in the end zone, and that's what made him relevant. So he had a 16-point game. So I
Yeah,
don't know. He's, depending on what your flex situation looks like, he's maybe worth a thought. There's just not much yak ability, not much upside there, but a somewhat safe floor on targets.
yeah, and going against the Niners defense is really tough. So I would say probably at least this week it would be in a 2 flex league is the only league I would consider him. But yeah, honestly, that's a lot of targets, so it's nice.
Yeah, for sure. That being said, I guess we're all right. So what does Shane have? Or is this a full sweep?
It has to be.
We'll say it's a full sweep. I guess you don't need to watch it, but you might want to because it might be a good game.
Yeah, watch this game. It's going to be a great one. We'll go on to the next game. The Ravens are going to go into Arizona and play the Cardinals. The Ravens are just absolutely rolling. They just rolled over one of the better teams in the NFL, the Lions, last week. So I'm very confident in the Lions with this 8.5 point line. I don't really know what analysis there is to give on this game. I guess we can talk about the Cardinals being weird again, doing something weird and lying to us, and just completely flipping their RB1 after giving all their carries to Keontae Ingram 2 weeks ago. They give him all the Amari DeMarcado last week. So apparently Amari DeMarcado is that guy, and you can apparently feel pretty comfortable starting Amari if he is that guy. Hopefully they don't switch it up on us again.
Yeah, I mean, not much to talk about in this game. It should be a pretty easy game for the Ravens. I think, all goes well. Lamar Jackson will have 200 throwing yards, 2 touchdowns, and 100 rushing yards with a touchdown and have an MVP type game and just absolutely obliterate the Cardinals. And yeah, I mean, the Cardinals, it's just like, who are they going to start at running back this week? Who's going to get more touches? Scary if you have to start anyone there. However, Dan, I do think you should feel confident in a Hollywood revenge game. Maybe we might see a big long touchdown. I think they're going to be airing it out a lot because they're going to probably get down pretty fast. So that's definitely intriguing.
I didn't even think about that. Definitely in your underdog slips, put the overs for Hollywood Brown, put his touchdown over. He's gonna go off for sure.
Yeah, that'll be the one exciting thing for the Cardinals, and that's all I really have for you. Maybe start Hollywood Brown. I don't know if I'd feel comfortable starting anyone else.
Yeah, that's the exciting thing to talk about in this game. Watch the Hollywood Brown revenge game. Hopefully your fantasy options do good. I'm sure if they're Lamar Jackson or Mark Andrews, they will. And the Ravens running back situation, Gus Edwards and Justice Hill, it's suspect, but I think they've kind of proved that Gus Edwards is their guy right now. It's a little bit gross, but
Yeah,
yeah.
you never know week to week. I mean, really, Lamar Jackson's their RB1 and quarterback 1, so I don't feel comfortable starting any of their running backs.
All right. With that, we'll get on to the next game. The Chiefs are going to go into Denver and play the Broncos. The Chiefs are 8 point road favorites, and these two played literally on Thursday night just 2 weeks ago. So that's weird. They're playing again on very short turnaround, just one game in between. So I think you can kind of expect the same outcome. The Chiefs won that game pretty handily, pretty simply, without even really noticeably trying too hard. I think the Chiefs will kind of do the same, sadly. This team is just too good. They own the Broncos. I think it's been 15 years since the Broncos have beaten the Chiefs, which is a crazy stat. They have a Super Bowl in between that. So that's just crazy. But oh no, it's been 14 games, not 14 years.
14,
Sorry, but still,
14
that's still just absurd. But yeah, I think that's going to continue.
Yeah, this could be a trap game, though. In my opinion, it really, really could be a trap game. The Broncos did put up a pretty good defense performance. Their offense was flat last time. So if they can put it together, I mean, it is a division game. They might play closer than you really think. However, I mean, I rooted against or I bet against the Chiefs last week. I'm not going to do it 2 weeks in a row. I want to win picks again this week. I want to win picks this week. So I am going to take the easy choice and go with the Chiefs. But I'm just going to say right now, I'm not going to be surprised if this is a trap game and the Broncos want it more than the Chiefs. So there is a chance. Division games are always weird. You never know. Anything can happen. But I'm not gonna risk losing picks, and I'm gonna go the Chiefs with the easy pick here.
Division games are weird. I could see it, but I don't know. I just feel like the Broncos don't match up too well. I do see Javonte Williams having a really good game again on the ground. He kind of got things going against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago. So I see Javonte having another good game, and I think Javonte will kind of be the Broncos' sole source of success. Sutton did have a good touchdown against the Chiefs 2 weeks ago, too. So maybe Sutton will have a good game. Judy's been a complete disappointment. As a big Judy guy, he's kind of let me down. I had big expectations for him this season. He's been absolutely nowhere to be found. And on the Chiefs side, this guy right here, Rashee Rice, has been awesome. A good, reliable receiver for Mahomes. It's big for him moving forward. He got a wide receiver 1. And then and Travis Kelce, he just looks so good. He looks still like just so he hasn't lost a step. It's crazy how good he is.
Yeah, 100%. It's gonna be interesting. I do see a big Travis Kelce Mahomes game, but I mean, honestly, my gut is telling me to go with the Broncos. I just can't. I gotta take the easy. I gotta take the easy pick, but I actually will be rooting for the Broncos in this game, though. Overall, I would like to see the Chiefs go down, which is crazy because I definitely had a rivalry with you and the Broncos, but I am rooting for them to win this year and this week.
Well, as a Broncos fan, I'm rooting for the loss. I'm rooting for the Caleb Williams.
you know, just to throw this out there, is Caleb Williams your just lock for the first overall pick this year, or are we going to be surprised like a Drake May or something? I was watching a YouTube video, and a lot of people seem to think that Drake may have the better, size, fit, maybe a more smoother, transition to the NFL than Caleb Williams. And so, I mean, I guess this guy was saying a lot of scouts have Drake May over Caleb Williams. Do you agree with that?
I think he'll have better interviews. I think once we get to draft, like the draft process, he's definitely going to get closer. The conversation is going to be pretty close. I think it'll be kind of like Stroud and Young. But in the end, I don't think that Caleb Williams can't go first. Like I think he has to go first overall. He's been hyped up as the best prospect, like literally ever. He's been hyped up as the best quarterback prospect ever. So I think he has to go first, just based off of pedigree.
I do agree, and I think Caleb Williams makes some phenomenal plays. And I don't think the losing UFC these past couple of games is necessarily on him. I think it's just lack of a poor defense and them relying on Caleb Williams to score 40 plus points every game.
All right, no, that's enough talking about the Broncos' future quarterback. We'll get on to the next one. The Bears are going to go into LA and play the Chargers, your Chargers, on Sunday Night Football. The Chargers are 8.5-point favorites, and honestly, the only thing I want to say before you talk is free Jalen Johnson. Get this man off the Bears before the trade deadline because he's such a great corner. He's been so good over the years, and he's been playing really, really, really great football again this year. So free Jalen Johnson. He's probably going to have a great game on prime time again, and hopefully he gets traded to a good team.
Trade him to the Chargers. We need a competent corner. We've only given up freaking 300 to 400 yards passing a game. So give free Jalen Johnson to the Chargers. Love to see it. We got Khalil Mack from them. We can make something else work. Maybe we can get like a Khalil Herbert too or something in that trade. Too. I don't know. Just call us up, Bears, please. We could use some good players, and your season is probably over. My question is, how is this still a primetime game? How did they keep this one as a primetime game? It seems kind of laughable to me. The 2-4 Chargers are facing the 2-5 Bears. The Chargers have a pretty big, they're pretty big favorite in this one. Even though I feel like this could be a trap game, I've kind of lost all confidence in the Chargers. However, I sadly again will, like I've done every week, I will pick them to win this game. My slight glimmer of hope is just weaning down to the smallest little thing you could ever imagine. I'm hanging on for some kind of resurgence, some kind of bounce back. I think it's going to happen? Probably not. Do I have to say they're going to win because I'm a Chargers fan? Yes. but hopefully it's a high scoring, fun. At least I hope it's just fun and entertaining for the fans. I hope we have a lot of points. I hope Kellen Moore does something, and I hope they can get this offense, the Chargers offense, rolling. And I honestly hope Justin Fields has a good game. I'd like to see a lot of points in this one.
I think it's going to be no Justin Fields. I think it's going to be Tyson Bagent. So it's going to be even uglier than you
Oh man,
expect.
I was hoping his fingers better. Is it still not?
No, I think there's going to be at least one more week of Tyson Bagent, and he didn't look bad last week. I think, like you said, the fantasy options will be like really really good in this game. So that will be the saving grace of having this on Sunday Night Football. Is there will be fantasy implications, and they're probably going to light it up on this game specifically. And we were looking at the Chargers schedule before we recorded this, and I feel like there's something to be optimistic about. There's some winnable games there. I think the playoffs aren't completely out of the picture. Once you win this game, you get a few wins stacked up. I think the Chargers could. Their season's not over. Don't dwell too much on the Chargers.
They can get to 500 and turn it around and sneak in there as a wild card. It'll be exciting, and hopefully we can see that they are a good enough football team on paper, as we say every year, to be in it. Hopefully, as Brandon Staley said, they need a hard reset on everything. I think he needs a hard. I think he should. Hopefully, he's talking about himself, and he can hard reset his brain to whatever awful wizard magic he's doing to make the Chargers lose. But we'll see. It'll be an interesting game. I can't believe it's a Sunday night football game, but let's move on from this one.
One last question I wanted to ask you is the Chargers defensive line has actually been playing like way better than they usually do. Their
They
run
could
defense
actually stop the run this year.
Yeah,
But
it's weird. Like they're still bad, but they're somehow are just good at stopping the run. So how do you think the Bears running backs are gonna, or how do you think either Foreman or Roshan will do?
I don't know. I think this will be a bigger game for the receivers. I think DJ Moore, Darnell Mooney, Cole Kmet will actually be more electric. But yeah, the Chargers defensive line has actually played really stout and good. I mean, it's like the last 3 weeks they've been averaging teams been averaging 2.1 yards per carry, which is just unheard of for the Chargers. So it seems like the Chargers are flipped. Their offense is in shambles. Their secondary is horrible, but their run defense is all of a sudden magically good. So I don't know where that was last year. I wish that could have helped. That could have been there last year because not much has changed besides Tuli Pilotu, who I'm going to just throw this out here. Defensive player of the year. I'm saying that guy is an absolute menace. He looks like the steal of the draft on the defensive side. I mean, from run stops to pass rushing, I mean, he can do everything and he does everything extremely well. So Tuli Pilotu really asserting himself as a defensive rookie of the year candidate. I mean, maybe one of the top two right now.
Yeah, Tuli Pilotu has had a great season. He's been a big boost for that Chargers defensive line, obviously, which has literally been one of the worst run defenses in literally the last 10 years. So it's good to see that at least changing. Hopefully, their just overall defense and team can be more consistent. But anything else you want to say in this one?
Let's move on to the next one.
All right, with that, we'll move on to the last game of the week. Monday Night Football. The Raiders are going to go into Detroit and play the Lions. The Lions are 8-point favorites. And why are the Raiders are always on Monday Night Football? Why do they always do this to us? I feel like they're always playing on Monday night.
Disaster. That's all I'm going to say. It doesn't make sense.
Disaster. But I think the analysis is pretty simple here. I think the Lions are winning by 17,000, and it's just going to happen. The Raiders last week were just so bad, so gross. You losing to Tyson Bagent like that, just getting absolutely dominated on all aspects, even with Brian Hoyer, like a serviceable veteran that surely should have gotten the job, been able to get the job done. That's just a terrible loss. I lost all respect. McDaniels having a job right now is crazy to me. That's just crazy. The Raiders aren't going to hang in this game. I'm talking about it way too much. The Lions, despite losing last week, they're too good. They're going to murder at home, and they're wearing their beautiful new throwback jerseys. They're going to murder.
Yeah, this is going to be a bloodbath. For those Game of Thrones people out there, it's going to be like the Red Wedding 2.0 in this one. If anyone knows what I'm saying, that awful scene. Red Wedding, Raiders are going to get absolutely stabbed in the stomach. And Amon-Ra St. Brown is going to go crazy, and I'm excited for Jahmyr Gibbs in this one. I think David Montgomery's out he got put on IR, right? If I can't remember right.
Yeah, I believe so.
Yeah, so we get to see Jahmyr Gibbs, and I mean Jahmyr Gibbs looking, like a true RB1, and that potential looked like it was there last week, and I think we could see Jahmyr Gibbs have a pretty big game against this Raiders team. The Raiders just look flat, awful. I can't believe they have 3 wins on the season. That doesn't make sense to me. I would like to see them trade Devontae Adams and Josh Jacobs and Max Crosby before the deadline. It's not going to happen. I would like to see it though. Free all those guys from Vegas. That'd be fantastic. It'd be fantastic for us to get them out of the division. I feel bad for them. But I mean, at this point, do you feel comfortable? What Raiders players, we're going to rotate in the fantasy aspect. What Raiders players do you feel comfortable starting?
Josh Jacobs, Devontae Adams, and Jacoby Myers. I feel like it's just those 3. But honestly, actually, Michael Mayer, I am a little bit excited for. I think Michael Mayer, you could honestly just start if you're down bad with tight ends.
Yeah, obviously, yeah, you're gonna start those guys, but they do scare me because they have such low floors. Like all of them right now. Even it's crazy to say, even Devontae Adams, he really has been underwhelming. Even with backup quarterbacks, you expect him to still get 17 targets and catch 10 of them. But yeah, these past couple of weeks he struggled. Josh Jacobs has kind of been on a couple down weeks. But yeah, obviously, if you have them, you're starting them. Lions side of the ball, I think you're starting everyone from Sam Laporta, Mon-Ra, Jahmyr Gibbs, Jared Goff. I think everyone's a pretty safe play. Who knows, maybe some backups when we start getting into the third and fourth quarter. You might see some guys like Josh Reynolds, maybe getting some targets in the second half. So, I mean, you can feel pretty confident starting a lot of Lions players. I think it's going to be an absolute bloodbath. It's going to get out of hand fast.
Yeah, start Sam Laporta as well. I'm really, really excited for Jahmyr Gibbs. So excited for Jahmyr Gibbs. And a correction I wanted to make is David Montgomery wasn't placed in IR, but he won't be playing in this game. So
okay. Still. Yes, good for David Montgomery owners. He's not on IR, but yeah, I guess he is questionable and looks like he hasn't had a full week of practice or hasn't even practiced yet, huh?
Yeah, it looks like he's definitely not going to be playing in this game at least. So Gibbs owners will have that at least. I'm really excited for Gibbs and yeah, on the Raiders side of things, it's just kind of gross. Like you said, their floors are just low because of how bad they're playing it. Last year, their actually fantasy options were great, as bad as they were. So it's kind of weird they have 3 wins this year, but their fantasy options are just disappointing for some reason.
Yeah, I wanted to kind of go over. I mean, Devontae Adams. For Devontae Adams in the last 3 weeks, 8 points, 4 points, 12 points. That's crazy. That's not Devontae Adams.
That's like less than Jacoby Myers each one of those weeks. That's just completely unacceptable.
Yeah, I mean, even he did somehow manage 12 targets, caught 7 receptions, but yeah, I mean, his floor was very low, only 12.7 fantasy points last week. So that is interesting. And then I'd like to piggyback that over onto tell you Josh Jacobs' last 2 games. Josh Jacobs is running back 11, but his last. So I mean, the previous 2 weeks. So I'll go to week 4 and 5 against the Chargers. He scored 27. Against the Green Bay Packers, he scored 19. But the last 2 weeks against New England, 11, and then Chicago last week, which the whole team was horrible. He scored 5 points. So Josh Jacobs has only scored above 20 points once this season.
And it's scary. It's way scary too, because you have to start Josh Jacobs and Devontae Adams. Like, you're forced to start them. And like you said, they have a very low floor, like we've seen. And against this Lions team that's had a great defense, their defense has been playing great. It's really, really scary. I could see both of them having sneakers again.
Yeah. I'm definitely scared. Obviously, you are starting them, but yeah, I mean, their floors, you can see is 5, 3, 4 points. So I wouldn't be surprised to see a game like that from them. But of course, you have to start them. You have a choice.
Yep, you just got to hope for the fantasy options to do good in this one, but it's probably going to be a beatdown, a one-sided beatdown. Anything else you want to say in this one though?
No, I think that pretty much wraps up this week. More hopeful for week 8. I'm excited. Hopefully we can, for my personal sake, hopefully we can get some fantasy and the Chargers season turned around. I'm hopeful, hanging on to that slight little hope, but I'm excited for week 8. I think there's a lot of exciting games.
Yeah, hopefully we can start getting some W's in here. I need to start getting some picks right. Hopefully I won picks this week because I haven't won since week 1. I've been down bad over here. I've been like depressed over my picks. It's been terrible. But yeah, this has been really fun. Thanks for tuning in to the NFL Seekers podcast. Yeah, like, subscribe if you liked, and thanks for joining, Josh.
Yes, sir. Peace.
All right, peace.